Should companies speak up if a presidential candidate loses and tries to take power by other means?
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance, offering small business owners protection for what they've worked hard to build with over 30 customizable coverages. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. And by Rubrik. When cyber attacks put businesses at risk, Rubrik provides the power to bounce back fast. More at Rubrik.com.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. We've been looking at political polarization at the company level this election year, how companies intensify or ease political divides by taking sides, taking stands, and or bringing us together. But with voting underway in many states now, some advocacy groups are asking if companies will stay quiet if there were to be attempts to distort or change the outcome of the election after Election Day. Marketplace's Kimberly Adams has more.
Many election watchers are expecting a close and likely contested election outcome. But if it comes down to it, will the corporate world speak up?
There is a sort of call to arms to say, you business leader, you trusted brand, will you publicly commit now to validating the outcome of the 2024 election?
Najma Roberts is with the advocacy group Democracy Fund, but she says corporations these days are a bit risk averse.
People do not want to be canceled. They don't want their brands to be canceled. They don't want to be politically attacked.
And the corporate world has plenty of recent examples of when taking a stand on DEI, LGBTQ rights, or a host of other issues led to exactly those outcomes, with some companies choosing to dial back on commitments as a result. So once the voting is done, says David Young with the Conference Board,
companies do not expect to change their external messaging due to the election other than being even more cautious about potentially divisive topics.
The Conference Board surveyed business leaders about their plans post-November. And back in 2021, the group also tracked when, following the January 6th insurrection, about half of the companies surveyed suspended political donations to election deniers, but only 3% did so permanently. Several advocacy groups are now working to make it harder for companies to do that kind of backpedaling after this election, with public pledges like the one from the Leadership Now project. Daniela Ballou-Ayres is that group's CEO.
We've had over 150 leaders across the country sign a statement asking candidates, federal candidates, to pledge to certify election results.
Leadership Now has endorsed Kamala Harris for president, which Ballou-Ayres understands may be a bit much for some companies.
But the vast majority are comfortable, if this election process is undermined, being a voice for the protection of the system and the election process.
And for those companies that would rather just keep their heads down and not say anything, says David Young at the Conference Board,
choosing to stay out of it is viewed by some, by many, to be a choice. Inaction is an action.
Which, says Young, can also have consequences for a company's reputation and bottom line. In Washington, I'm Kimberly Adams for Marketplace.
At marketplace.org, there's a little button under our logo labeled Office Politics for all of our political polarization elements. Markets, S&P and Dow futures are both down 0.2%. NASDAQ futures are down 0.3%. Interest rates keep drifting upward, given a strong job market and strong consumer behavior. The 10-year interest rate now up at 4.12%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business, aiming to help save time by offering smart business buying solutions so there's more time to focus on growing the business and less time doing the admin. More at amazonbusiness.com. And by the John Templeton Foundation, funding interdisciplinary research and catalyzing conversations to inspire awe and wonder. Learn more at templeton.org. And by VantageScore, a leading inclusive and predictive credit score used by 8 out of 10 largest banks and over 3,400 banks and fintechs nationwide. VantageScore.com.
With Election Day 2 weeks from tomorrow, those of you in swing states especially may be getting messages reminding you to vote. And some Be Sure to Vote money is also being spent on the 3 million eligible Americans who are in foreign countries this election season. One eligible voter is reporter Victoria Craig, who's posted in Ankara, Turkey.
For months, my Instagram feed has been inundated with messages from Veep's Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Emily in Paris star Lily Collins.
3 million strong, you could swing the outcome of the upcoming elections, which are going to be close. It takes just 3 minutes.
And we really, really, really need to have our voices heard with this critical, crucial election. All you have to do...
To win overseas votes, Republicans say they're relying on Donald Trump's promise to end double taxation for expats, where they pay taxes both to the U.S. and the country they're living in. Meanwhile, Democrats have spent about $300,000 on outreach to Americans abroad. It's a ripe group for an ad blitz, says American University professor Jan Laley.
Campaigns, to use their resources, they have to be strategic and deploy them for where they'll get the most bang for their buck.
In the past, expats just haven't provided that bang. Only 3.5% of voters abroad cast ballots in 2022.
The potential is there, but I suspect rather costly.
But Susan Judishitz-Kaswina, founder of the nonprofit Overseas Vote, takes a wider view.
If we had the budget to advertise at that level, we would. That's what we want, ultimately, is for more people to vote.
But how that money is spent is not always transparent. Organizations abroad can take advantage of lax regulation to promote certain candidates. Take the Center for U.S. Voters Abroad. It spent tens of thousands of dollars during this election cycle to oppose Donald Trump, even though it claims to be nonpartisan.
That is not illegal. It doesn't mean it's the most transparent, but that is something that we see with various groups.
That's Anna Masolia at Open Secrets, which tracks political spending. The Center for U.S. Voters Abroad said it is not affiliated with a political party or candidate and follows all donor disclosure laws, though funders chose to be anonymous. It added its filings reflect its ability as a 501c4 nonprofit to express opinions about candidates.
That allow them to draw money from anonymous, unknown donors without ever having to disclose that information while still spending to impact elections.
The bottom line is campaigns are spending big on ads this season, and given the uncertainty this year, voters abroad are prime targets. In Ankara, Turkey, I'm Victoria Craig for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm David Brancaccio, and you're listening to the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.